So for this practice, to have a glimpse of this directly for our own self, we'll take the time to find a space right now where we won't be disturbed. And ideally, if you have a space already where your body finds it to be familiar, that also can be helpful. And take a seat. Let the body be at ease. There are no hard and fast rules in the way to sit or be or do this. Just be comfortable. And we kind of really sense into the nature of mind. Now, this is the one practice. This is the core foundational practice, which is actually a non-practice because it's the true nature of that which we are. So before any more words, we'll kind of really dive into it. This is sensing our true identity. Taking our attention to the breath, coming fully into the body. Giving ourselves the permission to really see that we don't need to do anything. Just for this time frame, allow all of doing to just be. Whatever is appearing to happen, let it. Sense the breath breathing the body. Whatever the pace may be, it's absolutely fine. We are simply observing. We're simply being with whatever that is happening. Arising, moving, coming, going. Can I really sense in the body? What is it to kind of really be with what is? Without the need to change anything. Almost like for the first time, you're really observing what is appearing, what is happening. And that includes the appearance of thoughts coming up. Whatever those thoughts may be saying, just notice that thoughts, like bubbles, are arising. It doesn't matter what the thoughts are saying for the duration of our time. They may be so-called good thoughts. They may be questions. They may be comments such as, "I already know this," or "Am I doing this right?" Just observe the fact that thoughts are perhaps arising as if on their own accord. Perhaps some thoughts feel important, something that feels like I need to remember. Maybe it is about something that needs to be done after this session. Or maybe there are thoughts that the mind may recognize and say is just muttering of sorts, commentary. This is the first thing to simply observe. Just the fact that thoughts are arising, like how the waves arise in the ocean, coming in as if landing on the shore. Now the second thing that we're going to notice is how that the thoughts that are arising arise with a sense of a me. There's a deep sense that the thought is my thought, that I am thinking those thoughts. It has a particular flavor. It rises in a voice. That is my voice. Simply observe how this subtle thing is so kind of obvious that the thoughts that arise as a me. Within the thought itself is the I that exists. Now sometimes even noticing such a thing brings up a rush of more thoughts. The mind gets activated with even more thoughts. Whether it is surprised or whether it is something that it feels it already knew. It's like a pebble that is dropped in the water that creates ripples. And the ripples again are all thoughts that come up as an I. At the center of every thought is the me. Now, we'll shift a little bit. Kind of sense as if we are sitting by the ocean. And we look at the waves coming to the shore. We have no clue whether the next wave that's going to arrive is going to be a big one or it's going to be a simple, shallow one. We're just there. Observing that the waves are coming onto the shore. We have no clue. Whether things are going to shift and the waves are going to start coming sooner or not. But as we sit there and we observe, we know that the waves are not that which I am. They just arrive. They recede on their own accord. We may sense a pattern based on the weather. There is no me there. And it is the same with the thoughts. Some days the thoughts just seem to arrive very activated. And some days not so much. But the thing with the thought is that at the center of the thought, there is an I, there is a me. Now the minute the I gets identified with this arising and movement of thought, then I experience everything as its movement, as that which I am. And the minute that happens, then comes the need. One, of course, is that we move to the impulse that is born from the thought, because it's my thought, and that means there is an automatic attachment to this thought to be true. The minute we accept that thought with an I, that is my thought, and that my thought is accepted, it becomes true. Then that becomes the lens. So you can imagine now this field of these thoughts floating around are the thoughts like an environment that we live in. We live in an environment where these thoughts are taken to be true. Now it doesn't matter whether these are wonderful, expansive thoughts, good thoughts, or whether they're deemed to be bad thoughts or constricting thoughts. We'll put all of that aside. We'll just go to the core to kind of really sense the root, the point where the thoughts arise itself, the dynamic nature of that which arises and dissolves and moves, ever changing. And another key thing to really notice, right? That funnily we think, right, that thought is the I thought, it's my thought, and we move with it. The minute we accept it to be true, the I and the thought then become one, then we are vibrating and moving as that thought. The funny part is, we don't even know what our next thought is. Like right now. Observe. Do you know what your next thought is going to be until it arises? So to truly kind of sense that, like the waves, these thoughts are simply arising. Like how the clouds move in the open space that is the sky, taking their own shape, own form, appearing, dissolving. And that they appear with the sense of an I or a me. There's a familiarity to it. Like there's no space between that which I am and the thought that is arising. And that the thought which is going to arise I don't even know what the next thought is going to be. But after it arises, comes the sensing of that is me thinking that thought. That is my thought. There is a sense of personal identity to that thought. There's a deep attachment, a resonance to it. And that sense that the minute it is accepted, that means that thought is true. There's an ownership. A thought identified holds that ownership. There's a sense in the body that, hey, but that's true. Now, this is where really I also want to kind of point out that these kind of emotions, it's an energetic sense in the body that may come up, which is, but that is true. It's my lived experience. I know this is true. We are not debating that. This is not about validating or invalidating any experience or any thought to be true or false, or whether it is good or bad or right or wrong. We're not going into that. At the time of this practice, we're simply being at the root to sense. Let's just observe the phenomena of what is actually happening. And that's why if you want to dive deeper, sense into that energetic sense of perhaps how some thoughts have that energetic resonance quality that this is true. Maybe some thoughts, maybe not so much. Just observe. And that resonance is like, there's almost a sense of importance. Like these thoughts matter to a me. This matters. Maybe even a sense of these thoughts are the core thoughts for me. This is where perhaps I cannot compromise or accept anything else or be open to it. Whereas perhaps there are other thoughts that I'm open to. Sense the I in this. A perspective, an opinion, we're not going to jump into whether we should hold a perspective, an opinion or not. That's not the intention of this practice. The intention of the practice is to simply again see this neutrally as what is happening as a phenomena. Observing, neutrally being with whatever arises, whatever dissolves, observing the sensations, if there are any emotions, any kind of resonance, energetic sensing, keeping it very, very simple. There is so much more theoretically that we can jump into this. But as a foundational root practice, we're not going to do that. The rest will actually naturally reveal itself in a unique way for us if we were to just simply do this. Keep time aside for this practice. I recommend doing this first thing in the morning if you have time, or even through the day when you really get to have the time to do this, giving it full attention and time and space. Don't spend time on this as a theoretical practice of thinking about it. how we can think about something theoretically and we kind of really get it intellectually. That is not living the practice. The invitation is for us to do this by actually sitting for this time frame, whatever this is, 30 minutes of practice, and living it. Simply observing, not thinking about it as a practice, and then feeling the satisfaction, that I know this intellectually. There is a difference. While the first step, of course, of intellectually kind of sensing it is a big opening, of course, for our thinking, rational, intellectual mind. But it's in the living of this, which already is our true nature, that is open and empty. Living of this truly opens up things. So the invitation is this, to do this for 40 days. Now I am posting this at a very so-called critical time, that we are during the autumn time, right? Because that's when really nature is moving towards this of letting go. And that means really allowing everything to arise and everything to fall away as it needs to. But without jumping into that, I really want to say this is a foundational, timeless, spaceless practice. It's our true nature. The absolute lived experience, direct experience, that I am not my thoughts. I am not that which arises and dissolves. And this is in context, of course, of everything else that is shared in this space as the multidimensional sensing of mind. So if you're a so-called consciousness explorer, mind is fascinating. You can be fascinated by all the thoughts that arise and the stories that arise and the visions and the sensing. All of that is great, but to truly be aware of the nature of that which we are as being consciousness is the ground upon which we can consciously sense our multidimensionality. So while the multidimensional play is very enticing to the mind, because the mind loves to play, it is the I, it is the self, it is the reality. It loves that. But this is the key. This allows for a to consciously explore and sense direct experience of that which we are. The rest will come when the space is created. It's not even created, we are the space. So this is the foundational direct experience practice to sense I am the space within which the multidimensional aspects of mind arise and dissolve. This one practice, this simple 30-minute practice, is going deep. Will really allow us to truly experience and go deep.